This week on The Wire, market bottomed already. RBA housing concerns are abated and fixed rate demand falls. G'day guys, my name is Tim Guest. I'm Australia's leading financial educator, managing director of Infinite Wealth, and welcome to The Wire, where we cover all the top stories happening from the week in real estate. Money, finance, and investment. This is all about keeping your finger on the pulse and staying ahead of the pack so you can take advantage of this valuable information. Now, of course, we love to see your interaction with these posts, so please like, love, angry, comment, question. We've got our Just Ask Tim video series, which happens every week as well. So if you want to get your questions answered, hit us up on one of the social media channels. You can pretty much hit us up on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Insta at Infinite Wealth AU, all one word. Or you can contact me direct on at TimGuestAU. But let's get into the top stories happening from the week in real estate. So first of all, the market has bottomed already. Now, this is according to Alan Kohler. So financial writer and ABC News commentator Adam Kohler says that there's a decent chance that the housing market has bottomed already. Now, in particular, he's referring to, he's talking about the Australian housing market overall, which has primarily been dominated by Sydney and Melbourne house prices, being that they make up 45% of the market. And he's also saying that if it hasn't bottomed already, then it's pretty soon. Okay, so and this was writing in the Australian. Kohler says that because auction clearance rates have been rising strongly for a few weeks now, and the housing finance bounced in February, with affordability having improved, first home buyers are back and supply is tightening as well. Now, like I said, specifically referring to prices in Melbourne and Sydney, Kohler says that the depth of the cycle is about normal so far, and says a turnaround about now would also be normal. So, typically you are looking at around about 12 to 15% as we go through our standard cyclical downturns in most markets. That's pretty much exactly what you're seeing, well, nowhere near that in Melbourne yet, but certainly what you're seeing in Sydney. So he's certainly on track in terms of what he's talking about there. Kohler says there may be reasons for thinking that this is not a normal cycle, namely pointing to the level of household debt. There's a lot of talk about, we've got record levels of household debt. The one thing that you never ever hear in these kind of doomsday bad news stories is that, yes, while we do have record levels of highest household debt, we also have the highest asset levels we've ever had as well. And as a percentage of debt to asset values per household, we're talking around about a 20% leveraging percentage. So in reality, it's not a high percentage at all. Kohler says that the managed decline in house prices over the past couple of years will be seen as a triumph for APRA and its regulation of major lenders. So primarily, a lot of this has been detailed by APRA putting those lending restrictions. Even that, the household level debt on its own will lead to a price crash unless a recession reduces incomes and forces fire sellings, which is certainly not what we're seeing, particularly if you're looking at the Melbourne market, very strong unemployment, very strong employment around the country, all in all. So now, moving on to our second top story happening for the week. So RBA housing concerns abated. So tighter mortgage underwriting standards have eased the Reserve Bank's financial stability concerns associated with the housing market conditions. Now, this comes about in its semi-annual financial stability review report. The RBA reported that tighter lending standards imposed off the back of its scrutiny of both regulators and the Banking Royal Commission have helped alleviate the threat posed by weakening housing market conditions in the major cities. So the improvements in the quality of banks' mortgage lending have mitigated risks that weaker housing market conditions might otherwise pose to house and banks' balance sheets. And that's what the RBA says. Now, this is especially true for new borrowers. Changes in lending practices over the past few years mean that new borrowers will, on average, have less risky loans and be in a better financial position than previous cohorts. So the RBA noted that as a result of such measures, loans with an LVR of over 90% remain less than 7% of housing loan approval. So very, very few people actually borrow the maximum amount that they can. At the same time, interest-only lending has fallen to around about 16% of total loan approvals and only 7% of owner-occupied loan approvals. So this is, a lot of moves that we've seen, particularly in the banking industry over the past few years. banks are having to hold much greater levels of cash reserves. We've also seen the restrictions come in from APRA with regards to high LVR lending, interest-only lending, and investor lending, which have greatly improved the quality of loans out there. And then, of course, the Banking Royal Commission has also seen a marked change in the way that people are able to calculate what they're able to lend. So once again, this is where we're starting to see a lot of this competition coming into the loan space. You know, how this plays out for people. Look, if you're going on an owner-occupied loan, you should be paying under 4%. If you're not, definitely want to speak to our team. If you've got an investor loan, you're probably looking around about paying just a fraction over 4%. If that's not the case, you definitely want to be speaking to our team. But moving on to our third top story for the week. So fixed rate demand falls. So demand for fixed rate home loans fell in March, and that reveals new data from Mortgage Choice, prompting many lenders to reduce their interest rates for fixed rate loans. So we've been talking pretty much every single week. I've been talking about new cuts to interest rates, how competitive all the banks are getting. We're going to start to see this filter into them being a little bit more flexible in what people are able to borrow when it comes to actually buying a home or getting into an investment property. Now, according to its latest national home loan approval data, demand for fixed rates home loans fell in March, accounting for 21% of all home loans. And that's a reduction of 1.38% from the previous month. Mortgage Choice Chief Executive Officer Susan Mitchell says it's not surprising to see borrowers taking a tentative approach towards fixing their interest rate. There's a great deal of uncertainty surrounding the housing market and credit. This is, once again, pretty much Sydney and Melbourne, which could be weighing against borrowers' decisions to commit to a fixed term. She says that pointing to the upcoming federal election and increased speculation that the RBA will soon cut the official catch rate. That being said, lenders will be acutely aware of borrowers' reluctance to fix and have in the last few weeks responded by cutting rates on some of their fixed rate products. Those looking to fix could enjoy some really great rates right now. I think one of the best that I've seen over the past couple of weeks, Suncorp, 3.58%, incredible rate. So once again, off the back of what I was saying before, if you're not paying under 4% for your owner occupied rate, you should be speaking to our team. If you're paying anything more than about 4.09 for an investment property, you should definitely be speaking to our team as well, guys. But that pretty much covers off the top stories happening from the week in real estate this week. Once again, really love to see your interaction with these posts. So please like, love, angry question. We've got our Just Ask Tim video series that we do every single week. So if you want me to answer your questions live, please hit us up on one of our social media channels. Pretty much all the social media channels are at Infinite Wealth AU, or you can contact me direct at Tim Guest AU. And of course, guys, please share this valuable information with your friends and family. It's no good you being financially free, having independence, peace of mind, security, if the people around you don't. Okay, so want to make sure that they get the benefit of this valuable information as well. Anzac Day tomorrow. Guys, please have a great Anzac Day. Enjoy your day off. But, of course, you know, take a moment to remember those that made the ultimate sacrifice so that we get to live the lifestyle that we do now. And enjoy the rest of your week. I'll be hitting you up on Friday with our Just Ask Tim video series, answering your questions. So send them on through. Have a great day, guys. Speak to you soon.